We are coming to you from the city beautiful Chicago, Illinois, where tonight WGN Sports presents White Sox baseball. It's Jose Abreu, Javi Garcia, Melky Cabrera, and the Sox as they get set to butt heads with Paul Molitor's Minnesota Twins. Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Ken Harrelson with Steve Stone as we get set to bring you Game 2 of this three-game series. In the opener last night, 3 solo homers, and that sort of did us in as we lost that ball game 6-2. But tonight, Twins in that race for the wild card spot, and I'll tell you, they've been playing some good baseball.
They've been playing great baseball, and that's where you want to be this time of year, playing meaningful games in September, and the Twins are doing just that. This is a team 1 game back in the wild card, trying to make it happen. And each and every day they're showing everybody that they underrated them. And so you can see going home you want to play as many of those sub-500 teams as you can. So quite obviously in this situation, Texas, well, they got a tough road. 11 sub-500, 11 plus 500. Minnesota's got the easiest schedule. They've got 15 games left against sub-500 teams, and all 7 of those games they have are at home against the plus 500 teams. That's an advantage. Los Angeles right there, also a situation where they've got 9 games left against plus 500 teams, so it's not quite as tough, but they're out a little bit. And right now, these teams are battling, and they're battling to get in the one-and-done game.
Couple of left-handers out on that bump tonight, and theirs is a guy who's just worn us out.
Tommy Milone has been unbelievable against our ball club in his existence. Last time out was no exception. It was the beginning of September, and he went out there. His changeup was unbelievably good. He'll drop the occasional curveball over. He tops out 87 miles an hour, but it really doesn't matter because he cuts his fastball both sides of the plate. Jose Quintana last time out against Kansas City was awfully good. He went 7 innings. He didn't give up any runs. You might remember that the Sox swept Kansas City, and by the way, they haven't been the same since. That being said, Jose has 8 wins this year. He probably should have 15. That's what he did last time out. As you can see, it was a brilliant performance with no walks and 5 strikeouts. For Milone, who this year is 3-0 against our ball club, lifetime 4-0 with an ERA of 1.39. So hopefully they can wait back against the slow stuff and take advantage of it, maybe take them to the opposite field and score some runs.
All right, sit back, relax, and strap it down. White Sox baseball coming your way.
got a few minutes before tonight's game between the Twins and the White Sox. Eric Johnson started the 2014 season as part of the Sox rotation, but was sent back to AAA Charlotte after making just 5 starts. He's made 2 starts since his call-up this month, and a renewed sense of confidence is the biggest change that Robin Ventura has seen in his young right-hander.
Well, I think for him, it's going through a full season and being up here, knowing what it takes, going back down, working at your craft of being able to come back up here. And I'm sure mentally he's been working on that for a long time. That when he gets up here, he's going to, grasp the opportunity, and that's part of it. I think there's just a confidence that he has now that he didn't have last year, and which you can go through that process of it could go backwards if he doesn't have that kind of stuff. And I think being in the big leagues, you're going to need that to hang your hat on and to be able to count on it many times in the course of your career. And he's already had the first time he's had to count on that. And to see him come back with the confidence that he has of going out there, even if something really doesn't go his way, he bounces right back and gets after it. So I think it's been nice of, when guys get experience and they mature of where they're at.
Stay tuned. We'll be back with the lineup of the first pitch right after these messages. Home for the most live sports. Let's take a look at how Paul Molitor is going to line up his Twins for tonight. It's be Aaron Hicks leading it off, and Brian Dozier in the 2 spot with Joe Mauer, Miguel Sano, Trevor Plouffe, who hit a couple of home runs last night, Torrey Hunter, Eduardo Escobar, Kurt Suzuki, who's done a great job against the Sox career-wise, and Byron Buxton. The defense and how they'll line up behind Jose Quintana. It's Trace Thompson, Adam Eaton, and Abisail Garcia in the outfield, with Mike Holt, Alexi Ramirez, Carlos Sanchez, and Jose Abreu in the infield. Giovanni Soto gets a nod behind the plate, and Jose Quintana, looking for his 9th win of the year, his ERA .360 on for his 29th start. Opponent's hitting .283, which is a high number, but he keeps the ball in the ballpark for the most part and has a great walk-to-strikeout ratio. So here are the umpires for tonight. Mark Wegner behind the plate, Marty Foster at first, Mike Winters at second, and Mike Muchlinski is at third. And we're ready to play baseball. I'm ready to turn it over to my play-by-play partner, Ken Harrelson.
Hi, Steve. Thank you. And once again, good evening, everyone, and welcome to White Sox baseball right here over WGN TV. And the first pitch of the ball game is ball 1. And that evens the count at 1. Hicks 1 for 3 last night. Comes in hitting at .265, 10 homers, 27 driven in. Ball hit hard, but foul. And the count 1-2. Twins come in hitting at .248 as a team with a 4.14 ERA.
There's a Hall of Famer, Paul Molitor. He's got a lot of speed on this team, although they don't steal a whole lot of bases. And Hicks, a switch hitter, much better from the right side, where he's hitting .333.
He did not go. Pitch was low. So 2-2 here at the ballpark. 330 down the left field line, 335 down the right field line, 375 in the gaps, and 400 straight away center. Down and in. So a full count. Hicks 10 for 13 in stolen bases. They have 61 as a team.
Pretty rare for Jose Quintana, who's got excellent control. Going into that particular walk, he'd only walked 37 and 177 in the third inning.
So good speed aboard, and they'll bring up Brian Dozier, hitting at .240, 27 long ones, and 70 driven home. He is 6 for 31 lifetime off Quintana, and of the 6 hits, 2 of them left the premises. And that pitch is outside.
Trace Thompson in left field is playing Dozier as a dead pull hitter. Surprisingly, he's over toward the line. They're giving him somewhat of the gap, although the outfield pretty much is straight away.
Can't get that one. This is the 18th meeting between these two teams. In the first 17, they have won 12 of them.
Hicks, a former #1 draft pick, getting another opportunity to show what he can do. Paul Molitor loves the fact that he's a switch hitter. He is a very good center fielder. Buxton is a shade faster. That's why he's playing center, and Hicks left.
1-2 the count. Outfield straight up, spread out. Avi, as usual, short out there in right field.
Dozier, who tries to pull most everything, normally when he hits it hard, it's going anywhere from center over toward the left field line. So Avi probably figuring, along with the defensive numbers, saying that if Dozier does hit it the opposite way, it's usually off the end of the bat.
There he goes.
He would have been out at second had Carlos been able to secure the baseball, and looks like Hicks is shaken up a bit. Gio with a throw that tailed into the runner, and it looked like Carlos pulled the glove back a bit prematurely.
So the Twins catch a break right off the bat. Payoff pitch. That ball hit hard. And there's a mistake right there.
Yeah, not a real good base running play.
So we get a break back.
Hicks is a young player, but as soon as that ball's hit the center field and you see the center fielder retreating, You got to get back to the bag, and he should be standing on third right now. He's not. He's standing on second. You could tell right away that Adam Eaton was going to make that catch.
Now, worst case scenario, if he drops it, you're going to be on third anyway. If it's over his head, you're going to score anyway. So,
yeah, it's just a young player making a mental mistake.
Just a bad base running play, period. Mauer with an 0-1 count. Hitting at .268, 8 homers, 59 driven in. There's a strike right at the bottom of the zone, so the count 1-2.
Joe Mauer at U.S. Cellular Field has been pretty much like he's been most everywhere, hitting .324, which is just a bit above his lifetime average. 9 homers, 42 driven in.
And that's too low. Twins took the opener last night 6-2. They broke it open with a 3-run top of the 9th inning. Get over there. Bobble. So the Twins catch another break.
This seems to happen a whole lot when Jose is on the hill for whatever reason. And Abreu making his 9th error of the year.
Well, it's almost predictable.
It's just really astonishing.
Burley had a couple of years like that. It was just predictable. Something bad was going to happen. He was going to have to give them 30, 31 outs.
This is the 3rd year. This is the end of the 3rd year of this kind of situation for Jose. He keeps on going out there throwing his best, which is pretty good. Not a lot of results to show for it.
So here is Sano. Miguel, very strong. 0 for 3 last night. Sano hitting at .276, 16 homers, 43 driven in. Two and 0.
He's had a leg issue, doesn't run very well, so if you can get him to hit the ball on the ground, it's going to be 2.
Ball gets away. So they catch another break, and it's 1-0.
Looks like it's going to be a pass ball. And it is indeed a pass ball. He's sitting outside looking for a fastball and just misses it.
So the leadoff walk, the stolen bases should not have been a stolen base. It should have been an out. The error to Mauer. And it's going to load up the pitch count here in the 1st inning for Quintana. And here's Plouffe.
And Don Cooper coming out, and you can pretty much understand what he's going to go out and tell Jose. Look, can't do anything about what's happened in the inning. There's been some plays should have been made that weren't. Concentrate on getting Plouffe to hit the ball on the ground and get out of this inning. Blues grounded into 26 double plays, far and away the most on their ball club.
Well, he was 3 for 5 last night, and 2 of them he didn't have to worry about the double play because both of them left the premises.
The second one particularly damaging because it gave the Twins the lead late.
Jacks it up, takes a strike. Count 0-2. Bloof, 29-year-old veteran. 4 for 17 lifetime off Quintana. And there's the base hit. For Mauer. They're going to get a run down. You got to watch the man at third now. Watch the man at third.
Well, this has been a clinic on how not to play baseball. Unfortunately, it's 2-0. And Jose should be sitting comfortably on the bench, but there's only 1 out and runners on second and third. Booth takes it through the right side, drives in his 77th run of the year. And Jose cuts off the throw. This part of it is still pretty good. Then he comes home with it. And unfortunately, not too good.
Torrey Hunter gets that one foul. Well, you're seeing the same thing that we are. There's no sense in harping on it. It is ugly.
Yeah, this is
bad.
A particularly bad one.
That little piece of the zone, didn't get it. Two and one.
Torrey had a good night last night with a booming RBI double in the 6th inning. That tied the game at 2. He made 2 great throws from the outfield.
And the count 3-1.
Against the White Sox career-wise, Torrey, 282. He's driven in 119 in 210 games with those 34 homers.
Full count for the 40-year-old veteran.
This will be pitch number 31 coming.
He go. 2 down.
That was a good pitch, and Hunter was just outguessed. That ball was on the inside corner, just above knee high. Torrey took it. And he'll have a seat.
So here's Escobar. Eduardo at 263, 10 homers, and 48 knocked in. He was 1 for 4 last night with a home run. That's into center field. So in one of the ugliest innings we've had in some time, they lead it 2-0.
Then Melky Cabrera, the designated hitter. Then it's Jose Abreu, Avi Garcia, Trace Thompson, Alexi Ramirez, Mike Gold, Giovanni Soto, and Carlos Sanchez rounding it out. The defense and how they'll line up behind Tommy Malone, Aaron Hicks, Byron Buxton, Torrey Hunter in the outfield. Trevor Plouffe, Eduardo Escobar, Brian Dozier, Joe Mauer in the infield with Kurt Suzuki behind the plate. And Tommy Malone on the hill, lifetime 4-0 against our Sox. He's 8-4 overall, an ERA above 3.5 on for his 20th start.
And before we show you our picks to click, you at home select yours. Adam Eaton hitting at 271, 13 homers, 45 knocked in. First pitch strike against Cy Malone.
Trevor Plouffe loves to play in close on the grass to try to take away the bunt from Adam.
Little blooper in the center field. That's a Kansas City special right there. So right now let's check out our picks to click. DiMangio, John Walgren, the Mayor Minjo group, they went with Alexei. Steve's going with Mike Olt, and Roy Rivas and his crew. We're going to go with Avi Garcia. Melky takes strike one. And there's another Kansas City special. I like it. Two little duck snorts.
That one on a broken bat, easing it over the head of Escobar at shortstop. So a very good chance to erase that 2-0 lead early. Eduardo goes back, and this one is just over the glove.
And here's Abreu. Takes that pitch. You got to have an approach against Malone. If you look for the ball, you're going to go for 4. That ball high and deep in left center field. Back on the track. So Hicks gets there, makes the catch.
You got this ball off the end of the bat. It didn't sound like it was going out of the park, and there is a sound that pitchers can tell. Adam thought it was going to go over the head of Hicks. So
Adam made the same mistake that Aaron Hicks made.
Absolutely.
Same mistake.
Gets over his head, you score. If not, you're standing at third base with 1 out.
So here's Avi. Well, it's just been that kind of season. Coming out of spring training, if you'd have told me on September 12th that Adam Eaton was going to be second on our team in home runs with 13, I said, we're going to have a bad year.
Well, no doubt about that, because this is a team that just 3 short years ago hit over 200 home runs. And now on a pace to finish with the lowest total since the early 90s. One of the reasons why Malone is so successful is that his breaking ball in the dirt is chased 50% of the time by major league hitters. That puts him very close to the top in chase percentage in baseball. That was a straight change. You're certainly not going to chase that one.
I haven't seen one of our guys yet move up, way up in the box on him.
No, well, I've seen that, but in the last 2 starts, 2-0, ERA 129. Covered 14 innings, just 1 walk.
One and two the count.
Straight change. We saw a whole lot of those in Minnesota when he threw against our ball club the early part of September, and we didn't have much luck with him.
Well, you're going to see a lot more tonight. And if they don't change, then we're not going to have much luck with him tonight. There's a shot caught. And a good job by Adam Eaton to get back. That was a beautiful play by Dozier.
Well, fortunately, Dozier, when he landed, was looking at second base instead of first, because he had Melky at first base if he can roll over and make the throw. But again, this is an outstanding play. This is ticketed for right center field. He does not even bother looking at first, but goes to second, and Adam Eaton makes a real good base running play here.
So here's Thompson. Base has faced Malone 3 times, and he's 0 for 3. Tommy Malone is the poster child for soft tossing left-handers.
When they used that term, they had him in mind.
Grace had a nice approach to that one. Fouls it back.
We told you about career numbers against our Sox. This year it's been even better. This year it's 3-0 with an ERA of .87 for Tommy Milone.
One and two the count.
There are the numbers in 3 starts. And we've hit just 200 because he doesn't walk too many people. Doesn't give up many runs.
And a full count. So 2 out, 2 on, payoff pitch. And that'll load him up. That's a good at bat for young Trace. So here's Alexei. He's had a tough time on Milone. He's faced him 16 times and he's had 2 hits.
Well, you can go with the philosophy that he's due. Especially if he waits back for either the slow curve or the straight change. If he throws you 3 fastballs, well, number 1, it would be a tremendous upset. But 2, he's not going to.
Very questionable. It goes Malone's way.
Big speed at first and third. Okay, decent speed at second. Career with the bases loaded for Alexei's been very good. 333 overall.
Two and one to count. Right off the end of the bat. Rosen makes the play. And once again, Milone pitches out of it. After 1, it is 2-0 Minnesota. 2 gift runs we gave them in the first inning, and they lead it 2-0 here going to the top of the second. It'll be Suzuki, Buxton, then back to the top of the order with Hicks. '31-year-old veteran Kurt Suzuki hitting at .243, 5 homers and 44 knocked in.
Made the All-Star team for the first time last year.
Oh, and 1 the count.
There you see the career numbers against our Sox, and they've been awfully good. 321, 46 driven in just 69 games. Those are way above his lifetime averages against just about anybody else.
No balls, 2 strikes. Santana making his 29th start of the season.
This day and age with a 5-man rotation, you get about 32 starts. Maybe if you get an injury or so, you'll get 33 or 34 starts. But usually it's right around 32, and that's pretty much a full season.
Full count to Suzuki.
That's a very talented young Byron Buxton in the on-deck circle.
He gone. He knew it. One out.
He threw a fastball, had the whole plate, and Suzuki just gets outguessed.
So here is Buxton. They have 192, no homers he's driven into. Taking some scores for you. 11 innings in the Bronx. Toronto beats the Yankees 9-5. And Cincinnati, well, they beat the Cardinals in a doubleheader. They beat them 5-1 and 4-2. And David Ortiz hit a couple of home runs. The first one was 499, and of course, number 500.
Magic number 500. Usually gets you into the Hall of Fame. Big Papi's been a leading run producer for that Boston team for a long time.
He's the 27th player to reach that milestone. There's a good pitch. He didn't get it.
This is a breaking ball down. It's got a piece of the plate.
Guess that one foul.
Halfway to St. Patrick's Day celebration at the ballpark today. Beautiful Irish flat caps given out.
Ball high into left center field. Adam making the call. Has the ball for out number 2.
Cover all the bases for just $79 by purchasing an Abreu 4-pack. Each pack includes 4 upper box game tickets, 4 hot dog value meals, and a parking pass. Abreu 4-packs are available now for all remaining Monday through Thursday games. So visit whitesox.com/Abreu to order yours today.
Aaron Hicks walked to lead off the ball game. Down a attempted steal of second. Carlos whiffed on the throw by Soto. He catches it, he's out. He missed it, he was safe, and he came around to score.
Jose wiping his brow, but hard pressed to find any perspiration. 59 or 60 degrees at the ballpark, and it'll be in the 40s in the outlying areas tonight. It's turned into a beautiful night. It was raining a good portion of the day. Rain clouds have gone away.
Full count. And that's popped up. Jose is there, makes the catch, and that'll retire the side. That's a 1-2-3. We go to the bottom of the second, 2-0 Twins.
An official White Sox debit card, only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/White Sox to learn more. Wintrust Community Bank, member FDIC.
It'll be Olt, Soto, and Sanchez.
Beautiful cloud formation. That just over the scoreboard.
Olt, 2 for 2 last night. Nice crowd on there.
There are those good-looking Irish flat caps. Nice embroidery.
Count evens at 2.
Last night, Holt hit a rocket through the right side. But despite that, Minnesota is playing him as a dead pull hitter. Dozier on the third base side is second.
Count goes full to 27-year-old infielder.
Be nice to get to Malone before he gets his real good control back. He didn't have it very much in that first inning. And so far, he hasn't had real good control in the second inning.
High pop up. Dozier, 1 out. So here's Giovanni. There's a strike. Kansas City, they thumped Baltimore 14-6. Mike Moustakas. A grand slam, a 3-run homer. He had 9 RBIs in that game.
Moustakas is having a big year. That's one of the reasons why Kansas City is running away with things.
Three for 5, 3 runs scored, 9 knocked in. Now has 18 homers and 71 RBIs.
That Baltimore ballpark is a great place to hit. Short porch in right field. Scoreboard, however, low fence in left field where line drives go out.
Could not check it up. 2 down.
First strikeout of the night from Malone.
Well, there's not a better ballpark in the American League than this one to hit in.
No, so this is a great park to hit. We saw last night, Plouffe, the second home run, really didn't get much of any of that baseball. And yet, get it into the bullpen. Gave them a 3-2 lead at the time.
Here's Carlos. At 228, 3 homers, 26 driven in.
That's Malone's best fastball, 88 miles an hour. Occasionally with a good tailwind, he'll get it to 89, but he usually knows exactly how to use it. Cotton candy, just delicious.
There's a base hit. So you now have a man on first with 2 out. Third hit given up by Cy Malone. First one, it was not little. Kansas City special.
No, that ball was hit pretty well as Malone did make a mistake. He got that ball on the inner half and he got it up. When he goes up for effect, face high, and he'll throw it by you up there. But if he gets one about belt high, At his velocity, it's pretty hittable.
Adam with a little soft single to center to start off the game for us. Adam caught a break there, and the count 2-0.
His 13th last night. Went just about straight away center field. So Malone still having some command issues.
There's one. If you're just tuning in, 2 runs on 1 hit, no errors. 2 gift runs we gave them in the first. For us, no runs, 3 hits, and 1 error. There's a chopper, 2-hopper. Until he comes back from the 3-0 count, and we're into the third, trailing by 2.
Rafael Garcia departs the game with back spasms. Trace Thompson moves from left field to right field. And J.B. Shuck moves from the bench to left field. So he will hit in the spot previously occupied by Garcia, who hit a line drive rocket, only to see Dozier make a great play in that first inning.
And Dozier takes ball 1. He lined out very hard to Adam Eaton. I was thinking maybe it may have been where he got hit last night, above the elbow, because that's high. Adam, 1 out. But it's back spasms.
Last night he got hit about as hard as you can get hit, in a very vulnerable spot because he doesn't wear that elbow pad on the lead elbow. And this was last night. Tana hits him square. I mean, this is right above the elbow. You saw it, Hawk. How did it look today?
I saw it last night. It looked bad.
Probably looked a lot worse today.
About the size of a tennis ball. Not. Mauer fouls that back. 3 inches lower, and he might have been in trouble.
Yeah, broken elbow.
Yeah.
If it gets him on the point, there's no doubt.
Yep.
A lot of hitters, including Joe Mauer, pad up that lead elbow. Saves him a lot of problems with inside fastballs.
Chopper to Hopper. 2 down.
White Sox fans, celebrate your Hispanic heritage on October 2nd, presented by Miller Lite. There's going to be Latin music and dancing, special activities for kids, an on-field parade, and a post-game fireworks show. It's not just a good time, it's Miller time. Miller Lite, the official beer of your Chicago White Sox. Tickets start as low as $10, so visit whitesox.com/NHH.
Here's Sano. He walked back in the first inning. One of those home runs he hit against us at Target Field was probably the fastest we've seen a ball leave the park all season long.
Well, they used to call it light tower power in the minor leagues, but because there's very few light towers that are reachable in the major leagues, he's got enough power, as they talk about it, to go out of the ballpark at Target Field. He's hit one in batting practice almost to the top, and that's 3 decks. This is a very strong young man.
It's high in the left center field. And a nice 1-2-3 inning. That's 8 in a row retired by Quintana.
.com, sponsored by Jeff Vukovich, your local nationwide insurance agent serving the area for 37 years. To visit the nation, visit jeffvuk.com because Nationwide is on your side. There's a look at my dear friend Jack Ruby. I want to congratulate him because although I've never known him to pass a buffet, he did pass a kidney stone 2 nights ago. And if any of you have ever experienced that, you'll realize that it feels pretty good when it passes.
Here's Melky. He had a Kansas City special back in the first inning. A little broken bat single in the left field. And the 1-1 pitch. Two and two.
Chased him out of there with a neck-high fastball.
Eduardo's got him. 1 out.
Sox fans, join us on Wednesday, September 16th for Bark at the Park at U.S. Cellular Field, presented by Avoderm Natural Pet Foods and Nylabone. For more information, visit whitesox.com or call 866-SOX-GAME. Bark at the Park is a wonderful night.
Here's Abreu. Went out to left field. Actually left center. Aaron Hicks made the catch. Two balls in the strike to Abreu. Over by their dugout.
I don't think Joe picked it up right away because that ball wasn't that far into the dugout. Might have had a shot at it had he gotten to the rail quicker. Right now, the sky is pretty difficult. Lights really haven't taken over yet. It's not fully dark. And Jose has another life. He takes a look, but he can't get there in time.
Two down.
That straight change from Malone is a good one, and he usually throws it off the plate away from the right-hand hitter. Take a look on the Xfinity pitch tracks where it shows up. He has him well out in front, expanding his strike zone at 81 miles an hour. So not that great disparity between the fastball and the straight change, but he's got a very good motion. And apparently,
yep,
she said yes.
So here is JB making his first plate appearance. Ivy hit a rocket that was caught by Brian Dozier on just an exceptional play. Won the count.
If that gets through, it could very well have been a pretty big first inning. Instead, it was a second out, and after the walk to Thompson, a ground out by Ramirez ended the inning.
Two out, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Here in the bottom of the third inning. And that'll do it. We're into the fourth, trailing 2-0.
WGNTV.com and click on the WGN Sports Game Zone banner for the latest stats and information. The Sox Game Zone is powered by Robert Morris University, Illinois, offering over 55 athletic teams. That's more than any other university in the state. For more information on RMU, visit robertmorris.edu.
We're into the top of the fourth inning in a 2-0 Minnesota lead. It'll be Plouffe, Hunter, and Escobar. Plouffe, 1 for 1 with an RBI. Picked up his 77th. Takes first pitch strike.
He usually pulls the ball, but in the first inning, he went to right field with it.
And our congratulations go out to Pocky Kelly's husband, Brian, on their late comeback victory over Virginia.
So you would consider 12 seconds left in the game late?
Well, there's still a little time.
It was some play.
That was a great throw. Unfortunately, for Notre Dame, though, Zaire is out for the season.
Costly win.
Yeah. Yep. Shanks that one, and that's going to be into the seats.
Jose needs a relatively quick inning because he's right at the 65 pitch mark with nobody out here in the fourth.
Well, those 3 plays in the first inning cost him a lot of pitches.
I would say, if I had to estimate, probably 20 pitches.
Chops that one foul.
That fan a little chilly here at the park. 59 degrees. Those folks don't mind much. They got the big hats and the very green hair.
Pitch off the plate, so full count.
That one right off the mask of Mark Wegner. So Gio, with some professional courtesy, going out, not really telling Quintana anything, letting Wegner get his wits about him. That hit him square. So this becomes now a minimum of a 10-pitch at bat.
There's a get me over breaking ball is just hammered.
We're not even halfway through this series, and Plouffe has 5 hits.
Five hits, 3 of which stayed in the park. And here's Hunter. Struck out, called out his first trip.
Hunter was taking a long look down to Gene Glynn, the third base coach. Want to see if anything might be on. There's a look at longtime coach Gene Glynn.
There's a strike. Gene's a good baseball man.
Been around seemingly forever.
Yeah. Yes, he has. One and two the count.
Gonna have to get another bat as he breaks that one.
Now feels slightly to the right. Just a decent lead by Plouffe.
There'll be a lot of managerial openings, and one of the nice things that we've been hearing is consideration a few different places for Ron Gardner, who managed these Twins for 13 years. He's a good guy, was a very good manager, had a lot of success, and most likely will get another job. In fact, the Twins, who keep managers around for a long time, have only had 3 managers since September of 1986. That's when Tom Kelly took over for Ray Miller.
Torrey was all over that breaking ball, but underneath it and a little out in front. Well, there's going to be a few clubs looking for a good manager.
By my estimation now, on the low side, there'll be 5. Don't think they'll get to 8, but they'll be 5. That's a big turnover in any one given year.
Yes, he did. Did not check it up. He gone. 1 out.
This a 6-pitch at bat. You see where number 6 comes in. 76 pitches for Jose.
Escobar. Hit a line drive into center field in the first inning. I would say the over and under on the managerial spots is going to be, I'd make it at 4. And if I were going to make it at 4, if I were going to bet it, I'd bet over.
That's what I would bet.
Yeah.
Over. There'll be a lot of GM spots open also.
Yep.
Now, there's been one notable one filled, not for GM, but for leading an organization. That was Dave Dombrowski, going from Detroit, where he spent a long time, to Boston.
That's right. So the count 2-1. One on, one out. 2-0 Minnesota here in the top of the fourth inning.
Last night it was Eric Johnson who went 5 innings but got into the 100 and teens in pitches and had to be taken out after giving up just 1 run. Tonight, Jose is using a whole lot of pitches. Number 82 on the way with only 1 out here in the 4th, so it will not be a long outing for him most likely.
Well, Eric has had 2 outings and he has impressed in both of them. That ball into right field. Trace.
Last night without real good command. He battled probably 5 walks in 5 innings. You probably should have given up more than just the 1, but he didn't. And that 1, a leadoff home run in the 4th inning by Plouffe, and he actually left with the lead. He was ahead 2-1, and unfortunately it slipped away. So I would say against an excellent Kansas City team and a pretty good this year Minnesota team, Eric has done a nice job in his 2 starts.
Well, he's got his, certainly has his confidence back coming off last year's performance. And he was getting it and throwing it. He's got a nice routine going out there, and he's got good stuff. So he's put himself in a good position going into spring training. International League Pitcher of the Year.
I would say it's a pretty good bounce back year, as he went 11-8, but had an ERA in the low 2s.
And he led the league in strikeouts.
So that's a pretty good year.
There's a strike to Suzuki, who struck out, called out his first trip. Well, even if something were to happen over the winter, that there are going to be some teams coming after him.
I would think so. Every ball club will tell you the same thing, and that's if you talk to their president, their general manager, their director of baseball ops, you deal from strength. And one of the huge strengths of this White Sox ball club is pitching. And a lot of other teams will talk with Rick Hahn about that.
High pop up. Gio. He's there. Never fear. And that'll retire the side. They still lead it 2-0.
scratch-and-win ticket for your chance to win a trip to New York to see the White Sox battle the Yankees. Throw out a first pitch at a White Sox game and accept great offers from Famous Dave's and discount White Sox tickets. Head to Famous Dave's today for your chance to be a winner.
Trace Thompson had a nice first at bat when he drew a walk and takes that pitch off the plate. He's got the catbird seat at 2-0. It's 2-0 Minnesota. If you're just joining us, 2 gift runs we gave them. Absolutely gave them in the first inning. There's a rocket by Plouffe. You got to go. Safe. Picks up his 5th 2-bagger. Leading off here in the 4th.
That was a good slide at second base, especially if you can hook the bag and not come off, because you're sliding your body away from the tag, and then he hooked it with his arm. So a shot down the line, no chance for Plouffe. Then he just has to outrun the arm of Hicks, who doesn't have a great arm, got a decent arm.
So Alexi's got a job to do.
See him swing the body away from the tag, but he hooked the bag with his left hand, and it did not come off the bag.
That's back to the middle into center field. They're going to wave him around. Here's a throw, not in time, and it's a 2-1 ball game. The double by Trace Thompson, the single by Alexei.
RBI number 55, and that cuts the lead in half. Swings at the first pitch. It was about belt high on the outer third. They decided to let the throw go through. It's not a great throw, and Trace scores easily.
No stop now, boys, as here is Mike Holt. He popped up to Dozier at second.
Lexi, 17 of 22 in stolen bases.
Just off the inside corner. On the outside corner to knees. So 1-2 the count. Come on, Mike. 1st and 30. Outfield, they are straight up and really spread out, about equal distance. Two and two. That's it, boy. So 1 in, 2 on, nobody out.
He waited long enough on that straight change and took one low and away. That was a pretty good pitcher's pitch. But if you wait back, he'll get a good shot at it. And that's exactly what he did. Took it through the left side. And 3 straight hits here in the 4th. Start to make this one pretty interesting.
Here's Gio. Soto struck out. Check swing. Could not check it up. Now you've got Trevor Plouffe as he's going through his signs on what to do, what Paul Molitor wants done. Corners in close. Big gap out there in left center if he can find it, if he doesn't bunt. Makes the bunt, takes the strike. That evens the count at 1.
From a lone standpoint, the easiest pitch to throw if you still suspect a bunt is a high fastball. The only problem is if Gio doesn't bunt and it's not quite as high as he would like, it's going to get hit hard.
There's a bunt. That'll get the job done. Plouffe. Rowe takes him off the bag. So everybody's safe. Sacks packed with socks.
This turned out to be a terrific bunt. Plouffe, instead of letting it roll, it looked like it had a shot to roll foul, but he decided to get the out at first base, and it goes sack E5 as he throws it well wide of the bag, and Maurer can't come up with it.
That's just his 10th error.
And for Gio, his first sacrifice.
And here's Sanchez. He had a single back in the 2nd inning. Popped up, get back out of here. They will. You catch a break.
Pretty good speed at third base.
Here comes Old. Gio into third on the double by Carlos Sanchez, and the Sox lead it 3-2. Yes.
RBI has 27 and 28. And that one rifled down the line past Plouffe. This is our Mazda replay. That was a cutter inside. He didn't get it there. Plouffe has had 2 of them go right by him in the left field. Bryce Thompson leading off the inning. And Carlos Sanchez with a big double that's given the Sox the lead.
And ducks on the pond, nobody out. Carlos with his 22nd two-bagger. Neil Allen, pitching coach, has his say. Now back in the dugout. And here is Adam Eaton. He's 1 for 2. Infield in. There's a base hit. They're going to hold Carlos. So Adam into second base. And it is a 4-2 still. Ducks on the pond. Nobody out.
RBI number 46 for Adam. And wisely, when he saw the throw go through, he took off and went to second base. A high fastball, not really where Malone can live. He just punches it through the left side. And this throw sailed over the head of Plouffe.
Here's Melky. Melky 1 for 2. Has popped up in the right field. Carlos is tagging. Or he getting in shape. Here he comes. Here's the throw. It's cut off. Now they're going to go to third. And it's a 5-2 Sox lead.
RBI number 64 for Melky. And unlike the 2 throws last night, Hunter could not get enough on this one to cut down Carlos at the plate. So Mauer goes to third base, and if Plouffe holds on to it, there's a good chance they get him. Mauer cuts it off. Wisely goes to third, and the ball trickles away from Plouffe.
There's Abreu. He's gone out to left and struck out, swinging on a changeup. Takes ball 1. 5-8-1 for us. 2-2-1 for them.
Those A's got to get 3 more home runs and 14 more runs batted in.
That's high and deep. Stay fair. Stay fair. Dadgummit.
That one hugged the line for a long time before Mike Muchlinski said that it was foul. And the reason why he needs 3 more home runs and 14 driven in is there's only one man in the history of baseball, that in his first 2 seasons had 30-plus home runs and 100-plus runs batted in. And that was Albert Pujols. Jose is trying to join him. So this ball hugging the line for a long time. The problem is you saw the baseball all the way. If it was lost, that would have been a fair ball and a home run. But the fact that you could track it all the way means it hooked in front of the pole.
That was less than a foot.
Yep.
So 1-1 to count. There's a high pop-up. Buxton. He can throw. And that's out number 2. So with Avi out with back spasms, Avi was 0 for 1. He was robbed of a base hit and 1 or 2 RBIs on a spectacular play by Brian Dozier. JB has been to the plate 1 time and struck out.
It's Blaine Boyer and Brian Dunsing. Dunsing the left-hander, Boyer the right-hander.
Come on, JB, pick him up. Catches a break right there. Ball head top of the zone, and the count 1-0. All right, good idea, good concept. There's no execution. 1-1 to count.
JB went Plouffe back a couple of steps and back of the bag. Adam had a huge lead at third. He figures if he lays it on the grass, it's going to be a run batted in and a base hit.
That one had a piece of the zone, and the count 1-2. A very unusual inning for Jose Quintana. He's not used to sitting in that dugout.
Watching runs cross the plate?
Right. Not in his career. He's seen 5 this inning so far across that plate. Count hangs at 2-2.
Malone is having the toughest night against our ball club that I can recall him ever having.
Trace Thompson on deck. He started this inning off with a bullet double by Plouffe at third. And a full count. Don't help him out. And that's a good at bat. So we hit around, and here comes Paul Molitor.
And that's going to be it.
Well, it's about
Tommy
time
Malone?
that we could get Tommy Malone. I mean, if you check his record out against us, unbelievable. 4-0 career.
So as Malone walks out, we'll step out and be back after these messages. fine 257 on for the 59th time. There you look at some pretty good numbers. Opponent's hitting 250 against him. And he inherits runners at the corners. 2 outs here in a big 5-run fourth so far.
So here's Trace, the man who started it off with that double, right? Down into the left field corner. 2 out, runners at the corners. Wants the fastball away. There he goes. So that's a stolen base for JB.
That's number 6, and a base hit here now with a little more daylight between the two ball clubs.
Well, he's got the catbird seat. 2-0. Alexei on deck.
Boyer originally drafted by the Atlanta Braves in the 3rd round of the 2000 draft.
Count evens at 2. 2 on, 2 out, 2 balls, 2 strikes. There's a shot base hit. Davey ran through the sign. Meanwhile, it is 6-2, and Trace Thompson continues to swing that bat.
Well, Trace is trying to make a case for being able to play against the right-handers. He's doing a pretty good job of it. This time taking that low fastball the opposite way, driving in a run. That's his 11th. And continuing along in his perfect night. A walk, a double, and an RBI single. And this one coming off the right-hander.
Here's Alexei. He had an RBI single and scored earlier this inning. Takes that slider for a strike. To the count. Throw one in the dirt. Now he throws it away. And it's 7-2. I didn't mean that dirt over there.
Any dirt he found was just fine. So Boyer decides to go to third, but Plouffe isn't there. And this one gets away. That's probably going to be E1. A 7-run fourth. And does go E1.
So Trace a second. Pick him up, Alexei. Let's get greedy. Escobar's got it. And that'll do it, but a big cooking number goes up on that board. We're into the fifth, leading 7-2. Yes!
Courtesy of Chicago Medicine Comer Children's Hospital. Tickets start as low as $5 and parking is just $10. White Sox and Comer Children's Hospital teaming up for kids' health. Visit whitesox.com/Sundays or call 866-SOX-GAME. Well, that's more like it. Chasing Tommy Malone with a big 7 spot in the fourth. 4 of those runs were earned, but they sure look good up on that board. So Malone went 3 2/3, gave up the 7 runs, the 4 earned on 8 hits. A couple of walks and 3 strikeouts.
So here's Byron Buxton, 9th place hitter. He's 0 for 1, went out to Adam Eaton in center field. And he takes first pitch strike. 7-9-1 for us, 2-2 and a big 2 for them. That's foul. He has retired 11 of the last 12 he has faced.
And with a little breathing room, albeit using 90 pitches to this point.
Breaking ball down, that curve. Full count. 21-year-old center fielder. And the dreaded leadoff walk.
That's the third walk for Jose, which is very unusual because he's got excellent control. Smile.
That'll bring up Aaron Hicks, who has walked, picked up a stolen base, scored, and he also has fouled out. To Abreu, takes first pitch strike. Oh, 0-2 the count. He gone. 1 out.
He went down and out of the strike zone. Couldn't get that breaking ball. So when you're head of the hitter, this is a terrific pitch. You're not going to be able to do much with it. And if you do swing, you're probably not going to get it.
Here's Dozier. Twice he has gone out to Adam Eaton. Once on a line drive. Brown was the only player in 2014 with over 100 runs, 30 doubles, 20 home runs, 80 walks, and 20 stolen bases. That's into right field. Trace a long way to go. Watch out. He's there, makes the catch. Good play. Just make the play and then don't hit the wall.
This one slicing away from Trace. He got a good break on the ball. It looked like he might have crossed over into foul territory, but he's got some room. He's tracking it, looking where the seats are. On that look, it looks like it had a very good chance to be a fair ball. But he catches it one way or the other. Nice play.
Here's Mauer. Takes first pitch strike. Mauer has reached on an arrow. And he's grounded to second.
Matt Albers loosening is Jose about to deliver pitch number 103. That was a good stop.
That a boy, Gio.
Good reflexes to his left. Made sure that Buxton has to stay at first.
One on, 2 out. 1-2 the count.
Let's go, White Sox!
is a Mauer special right there.
He can punch the ball through the left side as good as anybody. It hasn't been a banner year for him, but he comes up with a base hit here. Lexi playing him pretty much up the middle in that inside-out swing. Taking that ball to straightaway shortstop position. Turns into a base hit.
And here's Sano. Miguel has walked and he has gone out to center. Checks it up and takes the strike.
Another
good job
stop
by Gio. Twins gave Sano a $3.15 million bonus. 2009 at the age of 16.
I don't imagine he was a whole lot smaller. They pretty much had a good idea he was going to fill out. Boy, has he.
Missed all of last year due to Tommy John surgery. 16-year-old kid with over $3 million. 2-2 with 2 on, 2 out. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He gone. And he pitches out of it. We're halfway home, leading 7-2. Seven, 9-1 for our guys. 2, 3, and 2 for their guys. Michael will start it off. He's 1 for 2. Had a single last inning and came around to score. Takes first pitch strike. Ball hit hard and in through the hole. Attaboy,
Mike. That's his second hit of the night. The 10th for the ball club. With nobody out here in the 5th.
So here's Soto. 0 for 1 with a sacrifice bunt and a run scored. That ball hit hard in that gap, but Buxton can get there in a heartbeat.
That gives you an idea of why, number one, he was a first-round draft pick, and number two, why a lot of good baseball people think he might be the fastest player in the league. He closed a lot of ground in a hurry, made a great catch, and robbed Soto of a base hit, probably an RBI. And so Boyer's going to walk out. We'll step out and be back after these messages. Year. 51st appearance. He's 4-0 with an ERA up over 4. Opponents hitting just .243. That's a pretty good number. He inherits Mike Gold at first base. 5-run deficit. And he played at University of Nebraska. Was teammates with a couple of pretty good major leaguers. Jabba Chamberlain and Alex Gordon.
Here's Carlos Sanchez. 2 for 2, a single and a big 2-run double and run scored last inning.
Our fourth drive of the game. And this one right down the line. 2-base hit. 2 runs driven in, giving him 28 for the year.
First and 30, Carlos. Toronto leading New York 6-4. Top of the 7th in the Bronx. Toronto won game 1 of that doubleheader, 9-5 in 11 innings. That ball hit well into right field. Torrey, a long way to go. We'll get there.
Well, that was a snow cone. That one almost rolled out of the glove. But hit awfully hard. Oriana makes a good play. Takes a double, another double away from Carlos. Take a look at how far up the glove this one rolled. He's able to corral it and get it back in.
Here's Adam Eaton. Adam 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run scored.
That's exactly why you should show bunt every now and then if you're going to be a leadoff hitter, a number 2 hitter. Because if you show bunt and it goes in the advanced scouting reports, you're going to pull the third baseman in. And if you do, occasionally, you get to bounce one over his head. If Plouffe is back in normal position, it's an easy play. But in on the grass, he just misses it.
Here's Melky. Melky is 1 for 2 with a sacrifice fly. Picked up his 64th RBI. Takes right there for a strike.
A.J. Actor throwing in the pen.
Two and 1 to count. Take that ball in the right field. So 2 out, 2 on, 2 and 2 to Cabrera.
That young fan brought his glove and made a terrific catch. Got the first baseman's glove. Nice play.
Plouffe's got him. Now goes to first in time. And that'll retire the side. We have completed 5 and we lead it by 5. in the top of the 6th inning. He's 2 for 2 with an RBI. First pitch strike. 26,065 tonight. .60 degrees as we speak. Just off the plate, and the count evens at 1. Play. 1 out.
First time Jose's been able to retire Trevor Plouffe. And it's a little chopper. Turns him around in the batter's box. And Lexi charges it aggressively. That was a tough hop at the end, but throws him out easily at first.
So here is Torrey. Torrey 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts. Also some bad news for the Blue Jays as Troy Tulowitzki has been diagnosed with a small crack in his left scapula. That's the shoulder blade. No timetable for his return. That ball hit hard in the center field, but we got a man there. 2 down.
The White Sox and New Amsterdam vodka both know what it's like to taste greatness, and that taste is award-winning smoothness. So when you're with your friends, lift a glass to your team, Chicago. New Amsterdam, it's your town. New Amsterdam is the official vodka of the Chicago White Sox.
Here's Escobar. He's lined hard to Eaton in center. And he's going now fairly deep in right. Face Thompson making a little bit of a run to get it.
This is undoubtedly going to be the last inning that Jose is going to pitch. It's number 118 on the way.
Line shot, he can't get it. So the 2-out single.
Catcher number 8, Kurt Suzuki.
4th hit given up by Quintana. And here's Suzuki.
Looks like Eduardo might have hurt his right hand. He hit it off the end of the bat. And it's still singing to him a little bit.
I'd like to hit some off the end of the bat and get the line drive like that.
Be pretty nice. Not from a pitching standpoint, but
that's out of play right side. And that Cub game in Philadelphia, Cubs leading 1-0 top of the 6th inning. Kyle Schwarber has hit his 16th homer.
That's the only hit the Cubs have had. And they're in the top of the 6th. If they beat Philadelphia, Pittsburgh is on its way to beating Milwaukee. And the Cardinals lost the resumption of a suspended game from yesterday and the regularly scheduled game today.
Over to second. And that'll retire to the side. So we go to the bottom of the 6th. 7-2 White Sox.
inning. Text Subway 97999 right now for your chance to win 6 meals from the Simple 6 menu from Subway. Message and data rates may apply. Subway, eat fresh.
Seven, 11-1 for us. 2, 4-2 for them. Here in the bottom of the 6th. It'll be Abreu, Shuck, and Trace Thompson. Abreu 0 for 3, but he just narrowly, real narrow margin, maybe 6 inches, maybe 12 inches, missed a home run in the 4th inning. 2-0 the count. Finale of the series tomorrow. Make your plans to be with us, because for them it'll be Kyle Gibson, and for us it'll be Chris Sale. That's tomorrow. If you can't make it to the ballpark, that game will be over Comcast Sports.
Supposed to be an absolutely beautiful day.
And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, the Oakland Athletics come to town for a 4-game series. That ball hit in the right field. Torrey back on the edge of the track. 1 out. In that Oakland series on Monday, we're going to run Danks out there. In fact, we're going to run in that series Danks, Samardzija, Eric Johnson, and Quintana out there. They're going to run Sonny Gray, Aaron Brooks, Jesse Chavez, and Sean Nolan.
Sonny Gray himself is worth the price of admission. That is a real talented young pitcher.
Chuck 0 for 1 with a walk, a stolen base, and a run scored.
So Escobar, who was already on the first base side of second, now with 2 strikes, has moved to a straightaway shortstop.
He's going to beat into the bag, I believe. Yeah.
And Dunsing might have turned his ankle at the bag because he was late getting there. Being a left-hander, he falls off to the third base side and couldn't right himself in time as JB, sniffing a base hit, just flat out beats him to the bag, and now they're checking to see if that ankle is okay. He's hustling, and Dunsing is trying to get there. Just got a late start because of his follow-through.
So here comes Molitor. And he has made the call to the pen. So Brian Dunsing, he'll depart, and we'll be back.
In for the 8th time. High ERA, 6.48, but it's in a relatively few innings. 8 1/3 to be exact. 4 walks, but 10 strikeouts. And he inherits J.B. Shuck at first base, and only 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th.
So here's Trace. He's 2 for 2. He walked, doubled, scored, and also had an RBI single. Nice gap out there in left center.
Quick move to first, and JB just in under the tag.
Now strike at the bottom of the zone, and that evens the count at 1. Chase ripped a double by Plouffe to start off that 7-run 4th inning. Two and two. And a full count. They scored 2 in the first, 2 gift runs we gave them. And we scored 7 in the fourth if you're just tuning in. No home runs in this ball game. There's the strike him out. He stays, so he picks up another stolen base. 2 down. And if you're just tuning in, also, David Ortiz hit home runs number 499 and 500 today. And there's only 3 other players, as Alexa can't get it, to hit 500 plus home runs and win 3 plus World Series titles. Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle, Reggie Jackson, and now David Ortiz. That is out of play right side.
You can tell with that kind of company that Big Poppy probably will find his way to Cooperstown before it's all over. And the way he's hit the ball this year for a team that's going to finish way up the track shows you just how good he is.
There's no question about Cooperstown for David Ortiz, former member of the Minnesota Twins. One of the most shocking is that right side. One of the most shocking releases I've ever heard of in my whole career.
It's kind of a good thing that it happened because the Twins would have been that much tougher to deal with if he was on that ball club.
I remember sitting at the breakfast table reading about it, and I was just absolutely ecstatic. Could not believe it. He just wore us out in that Minnesota uniform.
That was a good stop as that ball bounced in front of the plate.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Close. Full count. Dozier's got him. And we're into the 7th, still leading 7-2.
chance to win a variety of unique prizes, including a jersey autographed by the 2005 White Sox, tickets to Fan Appreciation Day on October 4th, and more. Visit whitesox.com/summer sweeps.
So Matt Albert's first pitch to Buxton, taken for a strike. Byron has gone out to center, and he has walked. And another quality start. What new for Jose Quintana? In fact, this year, our Sox are coming into tonight are 55-27. That's 28 games over when receiving a quality start.
Well, Jose's got a bucket full of those. Tonight, 6 innings, a couple of runs, only one should have scored, and possibly none. On 4 hits, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. Threw a whole lot of pitches, probably 20 extra in that first inning, but then threw it real well, giving up just 4 singles. That's it through 6.
The last pitch was a strike, and he didn't get it. It's moot. He gone.
Left field number 32, Aaron Hicks.
Aaron Hicks, the leadoff guy. He has walked, fouled out to Abreu, and struck out. Checks it up and takes the strike.
Well, Matt's had a very good year. His sinker has terrific movement, throws a lot of ground balls, and gets it over the plate.
There's some good movement, and the count 1-2.
Activity in the bullpen. Ryan O'Rourke. Better to throw on halfway to St. Patrick's Day than Ryan O'Rourke.
That ball hit deep into center field. Doug Adams there. 2 down. Also, if you're just tuning in that 14-6 Kansas City victory over Baltimore, Mike Moustakas set a new franchise record for RBIs. He had 9 RBIs in that game. Grand slam homer and a 3-run homer. And 2 others.
And Jennings has to start throwing.
Dozier twice has gone out to Eaton, and once to Trace Thompson in right field.
Albers is a much-traveled right-hander. Houston, Baltimore, Boston, Arizona, Cleveland. Back to Houston last year and this year with the Sox.
Well, we've seen him out there against us, and he never had the movement against us that he has now.
No, his sinker, when he runs it into right-handers, it's got late movement. It pretty much buries itself in on their hands.
Two out and the 1-2 pitch. Watch out.
Tried to go in there again, and Dozier could not get the head of the bat out and keep it fair.
Two and two the count. High pop up right side. Grace will make the call. And has the ball, and that'll be Tyler side. 7th inning stretch. We need it 7-2.
Around the major leagues.
Sox by 5 here in the bottom of the 7th inning. It'll be Olt, Soto, and Sanchez, lower third of our order. Mike, 2 for 3 tonight with a run scored. Going to the count. Off the facade of upper deck down into the lower bowl. Minnesota with 2 runs in the top of the first, 2 gift runs, and then we scored 7 in the bottom of the 4th. Low throw. Nice pick by Mauer.
Mike was trying to beat that out. Thought he had hit it softly enough and with good enough speed to make first base before the throw got there. Plouffe doesn't get a whole lot on it. Maurer with a good pick and gets it there just a step in front of Olt.
Here's Soto. He's 0 for 2 with a sacrifice bunt and a run scored. Last time up, he was robbed on just an extraordinary catch by Byron Buxton. Full layout in left center field. One out, 1-1 to count. There, Byron won't catch that one.
Second baseman, number 5, Carlos Sanchez.
So our 13th hit. And here comes Paul Molitor.
Paul's had a busy night. Figuring to get a few folks out of that pen some work. So we'll be back after these messages. Premium. Watch every out-of-market game live or on more than 400 supported devices. Get real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget, and more. Visit MLB.tv today. So Ryan O'Rourke comes in the ball game. No record, on for the 22nd time. 6.75 ERA. Opponents hitting just 190. And the control has been a little spotty. He inherits Gio at first base and 1 out here in the bottom of the 7th.
And that is chopped foul by Sanchez, who is 2 for 3 with a big 2-run double and run scored back in the 4th inning. He also singled in the 2nd and went out deep to right in the 5th. So O'Rourke, 27 years old, out of Worcester, Mass. Spent his entire career in the Minnesota organization. Six seasons in the Twins minor league system. Before getting called up on July 7th.
Lefties do have a tendency to get to the major leagues if they can just get the ball over the plate with something on it.
So that is out number 2. And here's Adam Eaton. He's 3 for 4 in this game. Gio moves on into second base on the wild pitch. Pick him up, Adam.
Second wild pitch of the year for O'Rourke.
Chopper Dozier just does get him. Nice play by Brian. And we're into the 8th, still 7-2. Good guys.
Sox batted around in the 4th inning, sending 11 men to the plate. The 7 runs ties a season high for runs in an inning, the last time back on April 18th against the Tigers. Start something special with a great deal on a Honda, now at your Honda dealer. And Dan Jennings comes into the ball game. So Quintana for 6, Albers for 1, Jennings on for the 43rd time, 1-3 ERA, 4.37. And the first man he's going to look at is Joe Mauer.
Mauer, who is 1 for 3, reached on an error back in the 1st inning and then came around to score. Mauer at the plate, Sano on deck, and Plouffe in the hole. Takes first pitch strike. A little tardy on that one, and the count 0-2.
Tries a sweeping slider, but that one will wide of the plate.
Everybody all right on that screamer into the crowd. Two balls, two strikes to the 32-year-old veteran Joe Mauer.
Here's Daniel Webb loosening in the pen.
A little bit low. Make him hit his way on.
And here comes Robert. He wants the pen. Dan Jennings on for one walk. And he will depart. So as he walks out, Danny Webb walks in. We'll step out and be back after these messages. "13 walks, 17 strikeouts in those 26 2/3 innings. He inherits Mauer at first base. There's nobody out here in the 8th inning, but it's a 5-run lead. There's some of those good-looking Irish flat caps. Part of a nice crowd of 26,065 here tonight.
So here's Sano, a walk, a fly out to center, and a strikeout. Sano takes ball one.
Daniel was on last night for a couple of innings. Gave up 2 hits and 1 run.
Checks it up, fouls it off. And Jose Fernandez, the 23-year-old right-hander for the Marlins, is back in action. He is now 5-0 in the season, running his young career to 21-8 with under a 2.26 ERA. Ball hit pretty hard, foul, and the count 1-2. Nice little shift.
Yeah, that was a nice stop. Biting slider way wide of the plate to make sure it didn't get by, and the double play stays in order.
Close pitch, didn't get it. Full count. He gone. 1 out.
Threw a belt-high fastball at 95, put it on the outside corner, and threw it right by Sano. Sano has not looked close to what he looked like in target field against us. He is 0 for the series. Jake Petrichka and Zach Duke throwing in the pen.
Blue 2 for 3 with an RBI. RBI single in the first, picking up ribby number 77. Two balls and a strike to Trevor.
And another high fastball thrown right by him.
Chris Sale tomorrow afternoon, so make your plans to be here. Proposed by the big right-hander Kyle Gibson for the Twinkies.
Put a couple of miles an hour on that one. Tried to get it by him, but he fouled it back.
Trevor, one of the better fastball hitters on this team. And that's ball 4.
Soto goes out to talk with Daniel Webb. Torrey Hunter, who's had a tough night, steps up. And this pitch by Daniel Webb, when he throws it, will be the 300th pitch of the night, combined between both teams.
Seems like it was a lot more than that.
Seems like 600.
Torrey 0 for 3. Last time up, lined out to Adam Eaton, center field. First pitch strike. 1 out, 2 on.
And he's quickly ahead 0-2.
Up and in. The ball and 2 strikes. Nine-time Gold Glove winner, Torrey Hunter. Over 150 games, over 500 in his career. And another full count. The base hit. That's going to load them up. Good job. Sacks packed. Guess what? Swing of the bat. Here's the ball game.
And we saw last night that Escobar can do that. Hit a home run in the 9th inning. And he's got 10 of them, and here comes Robin. He wants Zach Duke to turn Escobar around to the right side.
All right, so Daniel Webb will depart. Zach Duke comes on, and we'll be back.
His ERA 3.62. And opponent's hitting just .231, which is a good number, and he's going to turn Escobar around from the right side. His home run last night came from the left side. 10 home runs evenly split. 5 right-handed, 5 left-handed, and he's a better hitter with more power from the right side.
One out, Sox packed. All right, take your time, boys. One pitch and rack them up. That'll get it done, Zach. And we'll go to the bottom of the 8th, still leading 7-2. And 1 for us. 2-5 and a big 2 for them. Things started off, if you're just joining us, very rough in the top of the first inning. It was ugly, really ugly. And we gave them 2 runs. But then they helped us out with a couple errors. In the 4th inning, we scored 7 times. So here's Melky. Bit of a herky-jerky left-hander. Two and 0 the count.
That one just missed him.
And the count 3-0. There's one. And there is a base hit. So Melky picks up his 2nd hit of the game. He's now 2 for 4 with a sacrifice fly. And here's Abreu. He's due. He's 0 for 4 tonight. Count evens at 1 to Abreu. Out and around it. And that is a fair ball. So 1 out.
Another good play by Blue for third. As he had to charge that ball, he was playing back. Way back, as a matter of fact. Good flip, and he gets it there a step ahead of Jose.
So here's Chuck. JB. Been in the play 3 times. Walked, struck out, and has an infield single. He also scored a run and has picked up 2 stolen bases. And that's going foul.
J.R. Graham throwing in the pen.
Two and one. That ball hit deep in the left field. Get over his head. It will. So that's going to be a ground rule double. As Melky will score. And it's 8-2. And here comes Molitor.
This is going to drive O'Rourke from the mound. As JB hits it over the head of Hicks. He gets turned around and can't make the catch. So we'll step out and be back after these messages. J.R. Graham, 1-1, 5.15 ERA, on for the 35th time. So he'll inherit J.B. Shuck out at second base. And Trace Thompson comes up. He's on our Xfinity Speed replay. Is coming in the 4th inning. He leads off a big 7-run 4th with a line drive double into left field. Nice slide at second base. As the Sox send 11 men to the plate. The Speed Replay is brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports.
And Trace also has walked, Had an RBI single. He's 2 for 3. That pitch up high, ball 1. Off the facade, down into the lower bowl. Two balls and a strike. He just missed that one. He just missed that one. So 2 down. That'll bring up Alexei. He's 1 for 4. Breaking ball, and that'll do it. But we pick up 1 on the double by Jimmy Shuck, knocking in Cabrera, and we're into the 9th, leading 8-2.
And Jake Petrichka comes out of the bullpen. 4.3 is ERA, a touch above 4 1/4, on for the 57th time. 2 for 3 in save opportunities. And he's going to start off with the bottom part of the order. Looks like Danny Santana comes out to pinch hit.
So first pitch, high and away. Santana, good talent. Having a rough season as there's a and just does get the speedy Santana. And it'll bring up Eddie Rosario to hit for Buxton, who was 0 for 2 with a walk.
Rosario, the man who was robbed of a grand slam by Avi last night, leaped up at the wall, grabbed it at the last instant. Would have been the second grand slam against our ball club by Rosario this year, but it was not to be.
Can't get it up there. 95. And the count 0-2. He gone. That didn't take long.
Minnesota held to just 5 hits all night long by Quintana and Pensman.
Well, this is a man we've been looking for since 6-10. Aaron Hicks, who's 0 for 3. That's a little bit low. There was a strike. Didn't get it. 2-1. And when this ball comes down, this ball game will be over. So the Sox even up the series at a game apiece, and we'll be back.